It was a typical morning flight from New York to Los Angeles, the cabin filled with chatter, coffee aromas, and tired travelers scrolling through their phones. Near the front, a well-dressed man named Daniel Pierce adjusted his designer watch, trying to comfort his 7-year-old son Noah. The boy's tears fell silently as his small hands moved in panicked gestures. He was deaf and terrified of flying, clutching his father's arm tightly. Daniel whispered, "It's okay, buddy." But Noah couldn't hear him. The noise, the pressure, and the motion only made him cry harder, his silent sobs echoing through the cabin. Passengers began to turn, irritation spreading like wildfire. A woman rolled her eyes, another sighed loudly. Daniel's face flushed with embarrassment. As the CEO of a tech company, he was used to control. But here, he felt helpless. "I'm sorry," he muttered, pulling out a tablet to distract his son. Noah pushed it away, shaking his head, tears streaming down his cheeks. Daniel's frustration grew. "Please, Noah, just calm down." But his son didn't understand. Not the tone, not the plea, just the fear of being trapped high above the clouds. A few rows back, a young girl named Emily watched quietly. She was 9 years old, traveling with her mother to visit her grandparents. When she noticed Noah's hands, something clicked in her mind. He wasn't just upset. He was trying to say something. Emily tugged her mother's sleeve. "Mom, that boy knows sign language," she whispered. Her mother nodded softly, unsure. Emily thought for a moment, then unbuckled her seatbelt. "Emily, sit down," her mother hissed. But Emily shook her head. "He's scared." With gentle steps, Emily walked down the aisle toward the crying boy. The flight attendant moved to stop her, but Daniel looked up, desperate. "It's okay," he said quickly. Emily knelt beside Noah's seat and signed, slowly, her small hands forming careful shapes. "Are you okay?" Noah froze mid-sob, his red eyes widening. Someone understood him. He signed back hesitantly, "It's loud. My ears hurt." Emily smiled softly. "Mine too, sometimes on planes. But you're safe." Noah blinked, his breathing slowing, confusion melting into relief. The passengers around them grew silent. Daniel watched, stunned, as his son began responding, his hands moving with rapid joy instead of panic. Emily continued signing, "Want to see my drawing?" She held up a small notepad covered in colorful doodles of clouds and airplanes. Noah nodded eagerly. For the first time since takeoff, he smiled. The entire cabin seemed to exhale at once, tension fading into quiet awe. The little girl had done what no amount of money or technology could do. She reached his heart through understanding. Daniel felt his throat tighten. He had spent thousands on tutors and therapists for Noah, yet here was a stranger, a child, calming his son in seconds. Emily's mother approached, ready to apologize, but Daniel stood up and smiled gratefully. "Please, let her stay," he said, voice breaking slightly. Emily climbed into the empty seat beside Noah. They exchanged signs and laughter, their hands moving like music in the air. When the flight attendant came by with drinks, Noah even signed "Thank you." Daniel watched, his eyes misty with emotion. Hours later, as the plane began to descend, Noah had fallen asleep peacefully beside his new friend. Emily leaned back, proud and tired. Daniel gently covered both kids with a blanket, his mind replaying the entire moment. He thought about all the times he'd been too busy to learn his son's language, too focused on meetings, deals, and deadlines. Watching Emily's small hands form words of comfort had broken something open inside him. It wasn't just communication Noah needed. It was connection. When the plane landed, Daniel waited by the gate as Emily and her mother prepared to leave. "Mom," he said quietly, "thank you for what your daughter did." Her mother smiled modestly. "She's been learning sign language at school. Her teacher says kindness speaks louder than words. Daniel knelt to Emily's level. You're a very special girl, he said. You didn't just calm my son. You taught me something I should have known all along. Emily shrugged, grinning. He just needed someone to talk to. That night, Daniel sat in his hotel room with Noah asleep beside him. He opened his laptop and searched for American Sign Language classes. The next morning, he enrolled himself in the same program Emily's school used. 2 months later, when Noah signed, "I love you, Dad," Daniel signed it back perfectly for the first time. Noah's face lit up like sunrise. From then on, they talked not through sound, but through movement, emotion, and love. The silence that once divided them became their strongest bond. Weeks later, Daniel tracked down Emily and her mother. When they met again at the small community school, Daniel handed Emily a gift, a scholarship fund for her future education. "This isn't a reward," he said softly. "It's gratitude." Emily hugged him tightly, whispering, "Just promise to keep talking to him." Daniel nodded, glancing at Noah, who waved shyly from across the room. Months passed, and Noah's progress amazed everyone. The boy who once hid behind silence now helped teach other kids at his school basic sign language. Reporters later learned of the flight story and published it online, calling Emily the girl who heard what others couldn't. Daniel, despite being a millionaire, refused interviews. "This isn't about me," he told one journalist. "It's about 2 children who reminded the world that kindness doesn't need sound, it just needs heart." That simple moment at 30,000 feet changed 3 lives forever. A little girl's courage, a father's awakening, and a boy's newfound voice became a quiet miracle that rippled across countless hearts. Sometimes, the most powerful conversations aren't spoken, they're signed in silence, understood by love alone.